Glad to have you back. It's the Business Daily right here on Trust Television. Now we go into our first conversation for today. And of course, we're looking at the issue of energy. How can Africa achieve energy security despite its vast natural resources? Africa has been grappling with this critical component of development. How do we achieve that? A lot is being done without commensuring or corresponding results, as the case may be. If you go to using Nigeria as a case study, if you go to part of western Nigeria, you have the abundance of wind, where we can indeed generate power using the wind. If you go to the east, there is coal. If you go to the southern Nigeria, you have gas, and of course the solar as well. If you go to other parts of northern Nigeria, but despite all of this, it's cut across all the continents anyway. But despite all these abundance resources, we are still struggling to achieve energy security. Let's put some context or perspective into this. I'm being joined now from Washington, USA, by Adjoa Adjei-Twum. She is the president and CEO, EBII Group. Of course, the focus is focusing on Africa as well. Good morning, Mr. Adjoa. Mrs. Adjoa, rather.
Good morning, is Madam Adjoa.
Good morning. Glad to have you on the show this morning. Let's talk about Africa, which is the continent that is grappling with a lot of issues with regard to energy security, despite the abundance of resources. Like talk about the fossil fuel, the renewable energy. Africa is still lagging behind. What is the missing link, or where is the missing link, rather?
The missing link is really the perception. That's one of the main things, the perception that the investment community have of the continent, and that's mainly caused by lack of trust for the continent, which can be linked to things like unclear regulations, poor infrastructure across the continent, also some of the past instability and even instability of the continent I'll say anxious, and when they do invest, they're expecting a much higher return because of the perceived risk. In order to move forward, the continent will need much stronger leadership, better governance, and also systems that make it safer for investors to bring in the capital.
Indeed, we need to create a system that will make it safer for investors to bring in their capital. Let's look at the pillars that you think Africa can actually hold on for us to achieve this global, to achieve energy security in today's global climate.
So the three things I would say, it's policy clarity. That's the first one. I know that the African Continental Free Trade Area, the Free Trade Secretariat, is doing a lot to harmonize some of the policies, rules, and regulations across the continent. That's going to be a very big step forward when that is fully achieved. That would definitely bring stability across the continent in the eyes of investors. There's also investment in infrastructure, which is very important. So roads, grid, and technology that can deliver power across borders is very key. And the third one is collaboration. Countries must work together. The continent of Africa, all the different countries must work together and not compete on shared goals such as these.
Indeed, talking about our shared goal, how can public-private partnerships, talking about the PPPs now, be structured in a way that, it can benefit Africa context?
Yes, we start with the shared goals and transparency. Those are the two most important things. The government must create fair contracts and also reduce bureaucracy. And at the same time, the private partners must also commit to long-term impact and not just profit. Because when both sides win, the people of the continent win. So those are the key areas that I will mention.
Indeed, in terms of intra-Africa energy trade, of course, which has remained very, very low, what do you think is holding it back, and how can it be fixed?
So one word is connection. Connection. Our grids, the continent grids are not linked at the moment. Like I said earlier, the policies are not linked either. They don't align across the continent. So that's something that, again, it's very important. And some countries also protect their own markets, which shouldn't be, again, across the continent. It must be the connection is very, very key. The continent needs to invest in cross-border infrastructure, as I mentioned earlier, and agree on regional energy rules as well. And that's how we will build, as a continent, a true African energy market.
Indeed. Let's look at how can Africa balance energy security and sustainability, which is indeed very, very key as well.
Well, Africa can't afford to pick one over the other. Both are very important. The continent needs to use what they have, so like natural gas to power growth, whilst also investing in clean energy like solar and wind. So it's all about creating a practical path that lifts people out of poverty without damaging the future. So the two work together, but they have to be very practical in a way that they start with what they have in terms of practically, but of course working towards the clean energy goals as well.
Indeed, of course, another critical area to also speak about is in the area of partnership. Our relationship with the West somehow is more like a servant, master relationship. How do we achieve this, the equal partnership? Where we will see ourselves as equal partners based on mutual respect?
Well, I think that the U.S. government have started a great thing in terms of reducing the age. It does, as much as many people will see that as a negative thing, I think it's a positive thing in the right direction. In a way that Africa can now go to negotiation tables much stronger. They must not go to negotiation tables with weak hands like they've done before. So that's the first thing. And also, building local expertise as a continent is important. Insisting on fair contract is important, and making smart long-term decisions, not quick wins. The unity is also going to be very key as a continent, going to negotiation tables together as one Africa, rather than different countries going together. So when you have one country going to negotiate, another country going, that's what creates the weak, it gives the continent a weaker hand. So I think going together as one continent, whether it's via African Union or AFCFTA, but I believe that the continent must work together more than ever. And of course, with the reduction of aid, if I'm looking at the US, it gives the continent much opportunity to insist on fair contracts and mutual respect as well. And that is sort of the tone of voice also from the US. I know that in April, we hosted the African Leaders Forum. We had a representative from the Trump administration, and he kept insisting on the fact that they are looking at countries that they can work together, that it would be a mutually beneficial opportunity. So this is Africa's moment to do that.
Indeed, it's Africa's moment to do that. I know you've done quite a whole lot in terms of, advocating for Africa. Well, let's also look at how we can export the majority of our uranium. If you go to a country like Niger, they have it in abundance. Burkina Faso and the rest of them, they have these precious resources in abundance. How can we export it at a valuable prices? Currently, it is being undervalued.
Yeah, firstly, the continent, I would say we must understand truly the value of what we're exporting, because until we understand the value of what we're exporting, we will take whatever we are giving as a continent. So they must understand the value of the uranium that they're exporting. The second thing is they should also negotiate contracts that serve the people of the continent. So it should be both ways, not just negotiating things that doesn't necessarily benefit the people. So understanding the value of what they are exporting, but also negotiating a contract that serves the people. And thirdly, they must build local capacity to process and to use these resources, if possible, within the continent, so that they are not just selling raw materials, but also adding value on the continent, on the ground as well.
Indeed, very, very critical. Before I let you go, I know you are planning a conference to also speak about Africa development, which is critical, which is very, very critical. Talk to us about areas that you intend to focus at this conference.
Yeah, the conference is happening in September. That's next month, 18th and 19th, in partnership with the George Washington University. It's focusing on de-risking investment in Africa's critical sectors, which is agriculture. We are also going to be focusing on energy and critical minerals. And so we're expecting leaders, even a lot of leaders from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Namibia, many other countries on the continent, as well as U.S. leaders. We have members of Congress joining us, and we're also hoping to get other leaders from within the Trump administration to join, especially now that we have a lot of conversations around tariffs, which went into effect eventually on the 1st of August, and many other sort of conversations around the visas issues, etc. So we're hoping to bring a lot of these issues to the forefront and to see what can be done. Thank you.
Indeed, what can be done is important. Finally, what do you think will be the large the benefit for Africa?
So we're hoping that at the end of it, the continent, we're able to come up with a solution for a lot of the issues that it's been discussed currently. Tariffs, so the trade-related tariffs that is in the continent significant, sort of much higher rates than many other places, but also coming up with a way that some kind of a best practice that works for both the government as well as the private sector in terms of moving forward. How can investors be even more comfortable in putting in their resources on the continent, especially if we're looking at America at a time where it's America First agenda? How can we make it more attractive that the investment community here will still continue to put their resources onto the continent in the area of energy? Of course, agriculture, the food security is a big issue. And so we want to be able to drive a lot of funding in that sector, as well as the critical minerals.
Indeed, Africa is in need of investment in all these critical sectors that you mentioned. I must thank you, Adjoa Adjei-Twum, President and CEO of EBII Group. Thank you for your time talking to us all the way from Washington, D.C. in the United States. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Away from that now, we'll go on a very quick break. When we come back, we'll look at another very important topic in Nigeria. Government imposing 5% on fuel, more like a surcharge on fuel. We'll look at that and how that will affect the cost of living, which is already high in Nigeria. Don't go away.